Okay, so the test, the main problem was, I think, the motorway rules, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So what we'll do is we'll do this presentation now, and the presentation will just basically be, first of all, we'll do the motorway rules. We'll go through some of the bits and pieces that you've had a wee bit of trouble with. And then hopefully at the end of the lesson, you'll understand a good bit more about it.
Okay.
That's the idea behind it anyway. So it's section 9 on this little process I'm going to go through with you now. So I'm just recording it myself so I know what I've done with you. And happy days. So one of the things we'll need to sort of look at is the speed limit. So there's maybe some of you might want to take a few wee notes as well during this. Want to take that? I know the record works usually fine, but just in case it doesn't, at least you'll have something to go by. If that
Yeah.
makes sense. So the subject's covered in this one, and just let me know if at any time you can't see it. The subjects covered in this section will be speed limits, okay? So as well as the speed limit on motorways for a car is what? Do you know? Do you remember what that one is?
60.
Well, a speed limit for a motorway on a car is 70.
Yep.
So 70. So be prepared for lower speeds limits at roadworks, of course, or traffic congestion. You know, some motorways have temporary speed limits on them to control heavy traffic flows. So they would have like a temporary sign that would come up. So the lane discipline is also important. So when you drive on a motorway, they could be, the lane could be indicated by an overhead sign that tells you, you know, what lane to be in, what lane to move into, you know, like an arrow. And during this presentation, you'll find there'll be some signs that is going to come up that'll hopefully remind you about that.
Yeah.
They call it a gantry, you know, that like an overhead sign that runs on a gantry, and it has sometimes a digital sign which, you know, changes. So it changes inside, you know, so it would maybe change the speed limit, or it would give you a warning of, you know, of what's up ahead, for example, you know.
Yeah.
So what lane would you normally be in when traveling on a motorway?
Was the left lane, was not?
Yeah, you're going to be in the left lane, yes, most of the time, aren't you? So what's the other lanes used for then?
Right one was for overtaking, wasn't it?
Yeah, you're going to find the other lanes are mostly for overtaking. The middle lane and the right lane is for when you're traveling faster than the traffic is in the left lane. Now, when you are on a motorway and you have a trailer, what does that mean? How does that affect the speed limit? What is what's your speed limit reduced in?
It's reduced to, was it 50, was it?
It's reduced down to 60 on a motorway.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, so basically 70 on the motorway for normal a car, for example. And then when you have a trailer, the speed limit is reduced. And it's reduced down to 60. Okay. And the other thing about when you have a trailer, which is important to remember, is you're actually not allowed to use the right-hand lane. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah, that's one of the things that people don't realize, you see, because the reason why is exactly what we've just talked about, the speed limit. Because the speed limit's maximum is, how fast is it then on the motorway? How fast?
So what was it?
How fast is the speed limit on the motorway for a car?
It's 70.
Yep, 70. So that's why if you have a trailer on your car, you're not going to be allowed to use the overtaking lane, the far right lane, are you? Because you're only allowed to do 60. You see, so that's a difference, right? That's a difference. Sometimes you call it the fast lane. People call it fast lane, right? But it's just really the overtaking lane, and so if you've got a trailer, that's not going to be a lane that you're going to be able to use. So you're not allowed to use the right-hand lane. Now, if there are lane closures, you may find that you may be directed onto it for different reasons. You know, like there was roadworks or something like that. But that's a different situation, isn't it? And of course, we know a little bit about the stopping process. We're going to cover this during this. So these are the subjects that we're going to cover during this lesson today: speed limits, lane discipline, stopping procedure for if you're allowed to stop and when, the lighting that you would use in your vehicle, the parking scenario in the motorway, and let's start off with the speed limits. And so we've got you, hopefully, got your attention now that we know what we're going to be doing. So let's have a quick look through it. So this is a little picture, and let me know at any time if you can't see what I'm showing you, okay?
Sure.
So this is the speed limit, so a typical motorway, yes?
Yep.
And you can see that you've got on the left side here your hard shoulder, the reservoir if you break down, and working on the 3 lanes, left lane, middle lane, and right lane. See? 3 lanes. Of course, that's the overtaking lane over here. And of course, you might get this sign showing up on the motorway telling you that you've got some problems up ahead, and it's normally a warning triangle, and the old famous man with an umbrella. It looks like, doesn't it? So that's the one you've got to keep an eye out for. But that's the roadworks indication, a man digging a hole. This is the sign that comes up on motorways sometimes, and it might have come up in your test actually.
Yeah.
So you see what that sign's telling you, that as you drive along here on the motorway, there's some kind of obstruction on this area. I'll go back here so you can see what I mean. So if this is you driving along here, right? But what they're saying to you is there's now going to be some kind of roadworks here. So you're going to have to actually change over and go onto this side to avoid the roadworks. And so that's one of the signs that you would see to tell you to do that. It's called a contraflow system. So it's with the flow of the traffic. Contra means with. So with the flow of the traffic, but they're going to change you, as you can see here, over to the other lanes.
Yeah.
So that you can avoid the roadworks situation. And here's a wider look at it again. If you looking down on the motorway, you can see that we also have the studs, the colors of the studs that we talked about, didn't we, before?
Yep.
And you can see that the slip road is showing you shown on the left-hand side, isn't it? That's the road that indicating that you come along if you're going to join the motorway.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's called the acceleration lane, actually. So you've got to use this lane properly to get the speed up, you see, so that you can match the speed of the traffic that's already on the motorway. So that's why they call that a slip road or an acceleration lane. And if you notice, we talked about the colors of the studs, didn't we, before?
Yep.
You can see there's the red one here, and the white is the lane markings, and then the amber's over on the right side. You see that? Red here on the left, amber's on the right, and of course the green is actually telling you that that's where the slip road is, or the acceleration lane. It's giving you the heads up about that. And of course, we can always remember the colors of the studs that we find on the motorway by By what method? What can we use to help us remember that?
What was it?
Traffic lights.
Oh yeah, traffic lights.
Yeah, because the traffic lights have a red light. And that's the first one. And then the next one after that's the amber. And of course, green is the last one. That's how you remember what color of studs there are on the motorway in particular, because of the red to start with, then amber second, and then green after that. Of course, the slip road is not just for joining the motorway. You can actually have one of these on the other side for leaving the motorway. So this is one for joining to come onto the motorway, because you're joining the motorway not at the beginning of it, but actually halfway along it. Of course, you can also leave a motorway before you reach the end of it, and you could reach it, leave it by on the left-hand side as well, by following the green. When you see the green studs, that's telling you also that that's a place that you would use to leave it.
Yep.
Lane discipline then. So all vehicles should always use the left-hand lane of a motorway, unless they're overtaken. All right. So to overtake, you should use the center or the right-hand lane. When you're on a 3-lane motorway, the right-hand lane is for overtaking only. All right. The right-hand lane is for overtaking only. Having overtaken, you should always return to the left. Now, if there are lane closers, you may use the right-hand lane when directed to by traffic signs or by the police. Now, when intending to leave the motorway, get into the left-hand lane as early as possible. Having just joined the motorway, keep to the left-hand lane to allow yourself time to adjust to the motorway speeds. You must only overtake on the left if you are in a traffic queue, and the lane on your right is moving slower than your lane. When towing a trailer or caravan, also, you must not use the outside lane, unless, again, the other lanes are closed. So the basic rule is you're going to be using the left lane and the middle lane for driving, but you won't be using the right-hand lane unless you're overtaken. And you definitely won't be using it if you've got a trailer.
What's showing on the screen?
What's that?
What's on your screen? Is it a...
It should just say motorway rules and lane discipline.
Yeah.
All right. So here's a picture then of what we were just talking about. You can see, again, the color of the studs. Can you see the 3 cars?
Yeah.
So you see the 3 cars now, and you can see the red studs on the left side and the white markers for the lanes. And on the far right side, you can see the amber. And this indicates very clearly now that cars are actually, this car's driving normally, and you have 2 other cars which are now overtaken.
Yep.
So here, another example of a situation with a vehicle wanting to come onto the motorway. This one's quite a good one to remember for me, because when traffic is joining a motorway, if safe, you move to the center lane. So the red car then, for example, can see that there's a car about to join. Okay, so the red car moves into the middle. All right.
Yep.
So you actually, if you're the red car, you would move over to the middle to allow traffic that's emerging. Now they use the word merging. Okay, merging just means joining.
Yep.
Now, on the far left of the motorway, we have this area here, which you'll know now as the hard shoulder, it's sometimes called. Now, you may only use the hard shoulder of a motorway in an emergency. Changing a puncture maybe, or on the hard shoulder, it's very potentially dangerous. Always call for assistance if you've broken down. I can hear some noises in the background, Carter.
Yeah, it's kids
Have you
playing
got
outside.
a set of earphones or anything you could use?
Yeah, that's what I'm using.
Oh, are you okay? That's maybe your mic. Then I'm picking up. That's okay. Don't worry. So to rejoin the main carriageway, build your speed up on the hard shoulder. Okay. So if you broke down on the hard shoulder, you'd have to build your speed before you could actually join.
Yeah.
Christ, great noise. I'm getting quite a bit of feedback. So let me see.
Yeah, it's a bunch of kids playing outside.
You're okay. Don't worry about it.
My window's open. 1 second.
No worries. All right, and let's go to the next part now.
Should be it.
So the hard shoulder then, and just to reiterate again, the hard shoulders, if you use it to break down, it's only for emergencies. And emergencies, as if there's some serious wrong. It's not just because you want to take a break.
Yep.
All right. So you can, of course, if you have a puncture, you're going to have to stop there. But it's very dangerous, so you should always call for assistance when you break down on a motor. You're not meant to go ahead and try to change the puncture yourself. That's important to remember that. That question might come up in your test, all right?
Yep.
The crawler lanes are found on steep hills. Now, I'm going to show you a wee photograph of it. Have you seen this before?
Yeah. It was in the last one we did.
Oh, was it? Okay. So the crawler lane, it's not really something that you would see in Northern Ireland very much. And the purpose of it is, I don't know, do you know what the purpose of it is?
It's for big vehicles going uphill, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Crawler lane are found on steep uphills, and they're used by large vehicles and slow moving vehicles actually as well. So if the crawler lane is free, you should treat it as a normal left-hand lane. So that's a normal left-hand lane, but it's basically used to allow slow-moving vehicles that can't keep up with the speed limit, like transporting heavy goods, for example,
Yeah.
the heavy good vehicles. So we talked earlier about lane discipline and the overall overhead signs, didn't we? And there you can see there's one there that is going to be changing. It's flashing amber, but inside it's a temporary sign. It's telling you now to reduce your speed limit down to 50 miles per hour. Yes, and that's what that's up. Yeah, indeed. So if we look at this now, the next one. What are these?
Um,
Where do you normally see them?
before roundabouts.
Exactly. You see them as you come off a roundabout or coming off a motorway. And motorways are blue because they're actually only found on motorways. The ones that you might have seen, the green ones, they're actually, you see them on ordinary roads, not motorways. So countdown markers is their proper name. And as well as direction signs, you will encounter these countdown markers, which indicate an exit road from a motorway, just like we seen earlier. So they're giving you a countdown. So they're like telling you 3, 2, 1. So you see, 3, 2, 1, and they're in yards. So that's the old measurement, but they're basically the same. Very very similar to meter. So you can think about it like meters. It won't do you any harm. So 1, 2, 3 meter, 100 meters, and 200 meters and 100 meters before the end of the motorway, the slip road. So it's telling you to slow down. You see, basically, telling you that you've got, you're nearly at the end. So 3 is telling you that you're 300 meters away from the end, 200 meters away from the end, and now 100 meters away from the end. So it's quite a lot, big distance. 100 meters is the length of a football pitch, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you're getting plenty of time to slow down before you leave the motorway. And of course, if you've been used to traveling at 70 miles per hour for quite a while, guess what? You're going to need some help, aren't you?
Yeah.
You're going to need some help to let you know that you're going to need to slow down before you get to the end of it. So when you're stopping, just a wee bit of more about this very dangerous thing that people sometimes do. They stop on the motorway, but if you do stop and you have an emergency, this is what you'll find. And you notice that's telling you where the phone actually is. Now, most people will have a mobile phone with them, won't you? You won't necessarily need to use their phone. You'll be able to use your own to phone the emergency services, which would be directly to them. So if you didn't have your phone or you had no power in your phone or something like that, you just to recap, you may only use the hard shoulder on a motor in an emergency, remember. So the emergency telephones are placed at usually 1 mile intervals along the motorway. And there's marker posts showing you the direction to the nearest telephone box. The telephone's automatically linked to a police control room, so that's where you're going to there. And the police will know which telephone you're using and will therefore be able to be aware of your location. So that's the purpose of that. As you use a telephone, always face oncoming traffic to reduce the possibility of maybe a large vehicle getting close to you. Because sometimes large vehicles may come into the hard shoulder by mistake, or if the driver's getting tired because they've been driving for a long time, they sometimes, come in, unfortunately. So you've got to be very careful. So that's why they tell you to always, when you get out of the vehicle, to actually face the traffic flow. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And that'll reduce the possibility of something happening. And of course, you can always then move on to the grass bank if somebody was going to get too close to you. So if you use a mobile phone to call for assistance, the marker post can still be used to give an accurate location. And in some areas, motorway telephones are linked to a highway agency. That's for example, in the mainland or England or Scotland, the Highways Agency Control Centre instead of the police. And the Highways Agency traffic officers, they work with the police anyway, so they just let them know. And they sometimes would come out instead of the police to actually direct traffic to help people get their problem fixed. So that might happen. So that's a new service that's just come out recently. You'll see them starting to go around and on motorways. They're actually just to assist the police. They're not police. They're actually to assist for motorways and emergency and accidents. They're called the Highways Traffic Agency. Yep, you might see them about soon. They do not have the enforcement powers of the police, but they're able to stop and direct anyone on a motorway. So they provide a highly trained and visible service, so they're quite good, and their role is to help keep traffic moving in the event of traffic jams, and they can make your journey safe and reliable as well. So they're easily recognized. They're always wearing the big orange and yellow jackets, and their vehicle has a yellow and black marking on it. You might see them on the motorways. Now, the overhead signs, if you come across this one, what does it mean?
Don't go in that lane.
Yep, you're not allowed to park on a motorway for any reason, of course, and you may only stop on motorways in an emergency or breakdown. So you must stop if ordered to by the police, of course, and look out for this overhead sign on the gantry or the overhead information signs. If those are showing a red light, you must stop in the lane indicated. If the lane you're in is showing a green light, you may drive on in that lane if it's safe to do so. So basically, if this is the lane you're in and you're not able to change lanes, you've got to stop. Does that make sense okay?
Yeah.
So, use of your hazard warning lights. So, if you break down on a motorway and are unable to park on the hard shoulder, which is hopefully you can switch on your hazard warning lights to warn other traffic. All right. So, do not attempt to repair your vehicle on your own in the carriageway or push it to the hard shoulder. All right. If traffic suddenly slows down in front of you, you can briefly switch on your hazard warning lights to alert following traffic of the danger behind you. So do not forget to switch your lights off when you're not needing them. So it's an occasion when you can use the hazard warning lights in the car. A lot of people don't know that. You are allowed to do that. So anyway, obviously, if you're driving on a motorway, it's usually because you're on a long journey. And motorway driving is really tiresome because it's quite boring, you know. And fatigue can creep in. And if you start to feel tired, you must leave the motorway at either a service area or even the next slip road. Like I say, don't stop on the hard shoulder just to have a kip. All right. It's no worries. So let's have a look at some light that you might come across on the motorway. And again, just to reiterate on what we talked about before, you can see the color of the studs, can't you?
Yep.
And the position they're in. Is that okay? You happy enough with the stud positions now?
Yep.
Get them into your head, all right. So there's some other rules that we'd like to think about with the motorways. You know, if you're going to go on a long journey or a motorway, it's important to make checks of your vehicle before you go on it because you don't really want to break down on a motorway, and you might not have the opportunity. So motorway driving places a greater stress on the vehicle, you know, because of the higher speeds, and special attention must be given to the oil, the water, tires, you know, that sort of thing before you start your journey.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you just make sure you're all topped up with everything that you need, and you've got enough air in your tires and all that lovely stuff. And they're kind of things that you would do. Of course, if it's an electric vehicle, you're going to make sure that you've got enough energy in the vehicle to take you on your journey. And you'd also use the app to check what energy stations there is or fuel stations which have the ability for you to charge your car up on, because that's important. Same as a petrol station or a diesel station, you need to know where you can refuel your electric vehicle as well. Most electric vehicles now have a 200-mile radius, so most journeys are in Northern Ireland would be achievable on a full charge. Probably worth noting that in conditions when it's colder, the electric charge in the vehicle doesn't last as long as normal. So on a very cold day, you'd have to be prepared maybe to charge up a bit earlier than normal. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. All righty. So there are some people prohibited from using motorways, and we know them too well, don't we? We're not allowed on them. And also, motorcyclists aren't allowed on them under 50cc, like the wee small motorbikes. And neither are farm vehicles or tractors aren't allowed on motorways. And guess what? Horse riders. We don't want them on motorways. And guess what? Cyclists as well. Of course, it's also illegal for a person to walk on a motorway as well, just in case you didn't know that. Now, if you're on a motorway and you miss your exit, this is you, okay, coming this way, and you miss the turnoff. This is the slip road that you were meant to take to your destination, and you've went past it. You've got to here. Well, unfortunately, you're not allowed to turn around, okay? You've actually got to go to the next exit before you leave. And that can be really bad if you're in the M6 or somewhere like that in England, because that is actually a very long drive to your next exit. It could be like 20, 30 miles before you get to your next exit. So if you're ever driving in that neck of the woods, make sure you have your GPS on and you're paying attention and looking out for your exit. And you know that exits on the motorway have a number attached to them. Did you know that?
No.
So like you drive along, if you start the journey on the motorway, it would start off with the first exit from the motorway is number 1, and so on. So you could actually count them as you're driving along the motorway. You could say, okay, exit 2, I know I'm going off on exit 6. And guess what? That should be easy enough to work out. So a little bit more about the traffic rules that you might come across. What is it telling you here?
I moved to the other lane because that one's not able to be used.
Yes, exactly. Well done. It's telling you that the lane on the left side is unfortunately not used. They sometimes call that a running lane because they can actually open that lane up, to allow you to actually go on it. So it's an it's called active traffic management systems. They're being introduced in some motorways. They reduce congestion a bit and traffic jams and can be used in times of an emergency as well. They can also improve the journey times. So they are being used quite a lot. So if a red cross above the hard shoulder shows that it is closed as a running lane means it's used to drive on. You should only be used for emergencies or breakdowns. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Alrighty. And what speed limit are you allowed to do in this motorway at the moment?
50.
Yeah, there we go. Well done. So sometimes along motorways have these areas where you can actually pause if you're broken down. That's called an emergency refuge area. Alrighty.
Yep.
And if you're going to join the motorway, it's important to remember you've got to build up your speed to join back in again. So that's important that you would go along here, then come along the hard shoulder and make sure you got your speed up to 50 or 60 miles per hour before you try to go into the left into this lane. Obviously, when there's nobody there, that makes sense to you.
Yeah.
So well, that's a little bit of a presentation over now. I'm going to run through a bit of a test with you now. And let's just see how you get on with this one here. Um, okay, very simple question. It's 4 answers. Which 4 of these must not use a motorway? So what 4 do you reckon that you must not use a motorway?
Farm tractors,
Mm-hmm.
horse riders, cyclists, and learners.
That's it. Well done. Now, when joining a motorway, you must always do what?
Use the acceleration then.
Well, it's obviously you're going to join a motorway. If it said if you were going to join a motorway, but not at the and not at the beginning of it, but halfway along it, you would use the acceleration lane, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
If you're just so there's only one answer here, but use the accelerate lane and the hard shoulder if necessary. Well, it is a good answer, and I would tell you that you're not far away with this one. But there's the correct answer. Because that would be a better answer, wouldn't it? If you
Yeah.
think about it. The answer you give is not a bad answer, just so you know, but give way to traffic already on the motorway is always going to be a better answer. So this is the situation again where you have with these like questions where there's maybe 2 that's correct, isn't there? But there's a better answer.
Yeah.
Okay, question 3. What is the national speed limit for cars in the center lane of a motorway?
60, is it?
So we know already about
70.
yes. They didn't say anything about a trailer, did it?
No.
So which of these is not allowed to travel in the right-hand lane of the 3-lane motorway?
A vehicle towing a trailer.
There we go. So a crawler lane on a motorway is found where?
Steep gradient.
Well done. So you're driving a motorway. On a motorway, there are red flashing lights above every lane. What should you do?
slow down to 50.
Right. What about this red X we talked about earlier?
Red flashing lights.
Ted, what does it say? There are red flashing lights above every lane. Red. What does red normally mean?
Stop.
Yes, red means stop, you see. Okay, on a motorway, the amber reflective studs can be found between. Now, remember, it's amber. It's the amber reflective studs.
Where are it? Amber studs. The acceleration and carriageway.
Okay, and the motorway, the ambers can be found between. Okay.
Essentially.
Yes, because well, they call that the central reservation because it's actually it's the bit in the middle, isn't it? You know, that separates the two sides of the motorway. Like you know what I mean. So you have a left side and the right side, and then you've got the wee bit in the middle, like and a dual carriageway is usually grass, you know.
Yeah.
Mhm. And on a motorway, it's not grass. It's actually usually a concrete wall.
Yeah.
So you have broken down on a motorway. To find the nearest emergency telephone, you should always walk
Facing.
in the direction shown on the marker post, you see. So you've broken down on a motorway to find the nearest emergency telephone. Remember, we showed that there was like a post had an arrow on it, and it told you what direction to head
Oh, yeah.
to get to the phone. See? Most people have a mobile phone these days, but still handy to have. You're towing a trailer on a motorway. What is your maximum speed limit?
60.
So you're driving on a motorway. You have to slow down very quickly due to a hazard. You should do what?
Switch on the hazard lights.
Mm-hmm. Yep, just come on for a little period of time to let people know that you're slowing down.
Yeah.
You're driving a motor in the middle lane by mistake. You're just about to pass the exit that you want to take. What should you do? So you're on a 3-lane motorway by the sounds of things, and you're in the middle lane, and you've just driven past the exit you're meant to have. You see?
Um,
You're not going to be able to go back, you see? See that?
Yeah.
Because you're in the middle lane and you've just passed the lane you were meant to take. So you're not allowed to do a U-turn. You're not allowed to. So you've got to carry on to the next exit.
Yeah. AA, isn't it?
What's that?
AA.
Well, we talked about this now. When you use the emergency telephone on a motorway, who's it connected to? What service? Ambulance, police, fire engine?
Was it the police?
It is. Going to the police, you see. Because it's quite a serious thing if you're broke down on a motorway. You're not allowed to remember to do anything. You've got to get some help. So that's the end of that section on the motorways. So well done. Hopefully that's give you a wee bit of a heads up with some of the hardest questions you might get. I think what we'll do is we'll have a wee look at the the test again. Would you like to try it again
Yeah.
and see if you could maybe get through it this time on the motorway section at least, and see if there's anything else comes up?
Yep.
Can you see the test?
Yeah.
Good. So let's just get you fired in here and see if you can get a go at this one. It should be here because we did it the last time, and then what we'll do is we'll be able to look at it will come back to some of the questions that you may have had trouble with. You see, that's what I'm after. Go. Okay, let's try setting a mock test on it then. Okay, revisit your weakest areas. I'm gonna give you control again, and I'm gonna shut my computer once I do that. All right, Carter?
Yeah, I think you might need to move it up again.
All right, no problem. No, well, just let me just get the test fired up first. Is that okay now?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just gonna let me take the mouse just a wee sec. So I'm gonna shut my mic down. And remember now, listen to the questions. Also, you know, try to if you're not sure of them, come back to them. Don't guess them at the moment, and come back to them later in the test and when you have a think about it. All right.
Yep.
Let me just see if I can cancel this for a second. I'm trying to shut this mic down a minute. Okay, Carter, that should be you able to have a go at it now. I'm just going to close my mic down. Okay, my mate?
All right.
And if there's any problems, just shout out.
Okay.
All right, Carter.
Yep.
Well, how do you think that went?
Probably bad.
Not too bad. Okay, let's have a quick look then. So, you didn't complete 4 questions. Do you want to go back over those ones again and give them an answer before we finish?
No.
Okay. And okay, so well, let's just see which ones up then. So there's 4 of them that you didn't mark. That's why they're to be red. So yeah, lots of green there. So let's have a look at the red ones first of all. So let's see, number 5. What's the purpose of these road markings? So you can see clearly they're the school keep clear. So you're not going to be able to stop there. So they're actually the opposite to what you've thought. You've thought it was to enable parents to pick up and drop off children safely. And I can see why you thought that. But you'll find that if there's yellow paint on the road, always going to be a parking restriction or a waiting restriction attached to it. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, does that make sense now when you see it now?
Yep.
You've got to keep that area clear. It says school keep clear. And the reason for that is quite simply that if you park there, what would happen would be kids would maybe try to come in between the 2 cars and they wouldn't be visible for other drivers, and that can lead to obviously a pedestrian getting hurt. So that's why you've got that area clear. Okay, question 7 then. What must you do when you hitch a trailer to a towing vehicle? Now, the hitching basically means it's connecting it. The word hitch means to connect the trailer to the towing vehicle. You might not have come across that before, have you?
No.
No, I mean most people wouldn't have, to be honest with you. It's one of those things which you know you would you would probably get some experience with it. Once you passed your test, you would have a trailer to put on, and what happens? What it said is a coupling device is basically something that connects it to the car.
Mm.
That's what it means. It means a coupling device is to something that connects it to the trailer to the car. So there's different various types of them, but they all have the same sort of look about it. And I'll show a picture of that to you when we finish this. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, this is question 8. Then you've got yourself a kids on a yellow background on a sign, and that's always going to be found actually on the back of a bus. All right, so you might be right, it might be near a school crossing, but it's actually a warning sign that if you're a driver and you come up behind a bus, for example, and you would then know straight away, okay, I know about this. This is actually there's going to be kids coming off this bus because they're going to go into school, or they're going to be running out of that to go somewhere. And of course, that's dangerous, right?
Yep.
Very, very dangerous. We got to be careful with that. So yes, definitely. So it's like a rectangular shape with 2 kids inside it, and it's a yellow background, and you'll find out on the back of a bus. Have you not seen that one before? Is a new one for you?
Yeah. So they
A new one. Okay. All right. So Pelican crossing. Then that's you're waiting at a Pelican crossing. What does it mean when the red light changes to flashing amber? So you see, you have your ordinary set of traffic lights, and the ordinary set of traffic lights, it starts off red, and then after red and amber together. Then after that goes green. But on a Pelican crossing, it's slightly different, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what comes after red on a pelican crossing?
Flashing amber.
Yep. And what does flashing amber say to the pedestrians or to the driver?
Give way to pedestrians.
Yeah, it does give way to pedestrians that's on the crossing. But if there's no one on the crossing, you see, you're allowed to go. You see, if the light goes to flashing amber and there's no one on the crossing, you're allowed to go. And that's the difference between that and an ordinary set of traffic lights. An ordinary set of traffic lights, you're not allowed to go. You can get ready, like you said there, but that's not. You're never going to go on an amber light, you see, unless it's flashing. You can go on a flashing amber light, but not a continuous one. That one you've marked says continuous amber light.
Yeah.
It doesn't say green, and you can only go on a green light on an ordinary set of traffic lights.
Mm.
So how can drivers help the environment? Well, the environment's about keeping it safe, isn't it? The environment, keeping it safe, free from all the pollutants and all the stuff that energy, that wasting energy and wasting food. We all talk about this. So a driver can help the environment by accelerating gently and not by accelerating harshly, because obviously when you accelerate harshly, you're using excess fuel, sorry, and that results in waste. Does that make sense then?
Yeah.
Yeah, just accelerate gently is a better answer. You're not using as much energy then to get where you need to go. So you've driven up to a pelican crossing, same again, the crossing that we just talked about. What must you do while the amber light is flashing? So amber light means that you've still to give way to pedestrians. It's already on the crossing, but if there's no one there, you can go on. So you don't have. So basically, what you've said there is you've always wait for the green light. You see, but in a pelican crossing, you don't have to wait for the green light, do you?
No.
No, you can go on the flashing amber light because as long as there's no one actually on the crossing. That's the difference, you see. Now, which sign shows that a tanker is carrying dangerous goods? See, sign shows that a tanker's carrying dangerous goods. And you flagged that one because it's actually what you would not normally see. If you think about an oil tanker, the one that delivers the oil to people's houses, yes?
Yeah.
Well, if next time you see one of those stopping, you'll see that they'll have this B, the one with the triangle on it, and it has a red background with a flame in it, which is more or less saying, guess what? This one here is dangerous. It's got the ability to go on fire, and if it goes on fire, it's going to be dangerous. So that's why it's red, and that's why there's a little fire in it, a flame in it, to show you that.
Yep.
Like I say, and you'll see that in vehicles which are actually delivering oil to people's houses. So on looking at this picture, you can see a dotted line in the center of the road, and also you can see a white line. Right now, the dotted line, if you're traveling this way, is telling you that you can overtake. You see, you're allowed to go over that. If you're coming from the opposite direction, you're not allowed to overtake that white line because a white line means you're not allowed to overtake.
Yeah.
So the wee arrows here, the arrows are telling you if you're coming this way, that you want to get back over to your side of the road, basically. It's pointing over there, telling
Yep.
you that you have to get over to your side of the road,
Yep.
Okay, let's see what the next one is. 25. Okay, so 25 is you wish to turn right ahead. Why should you take up the correct position in good time? Take up the position in good time. Well, if you do that, it will help other road users know what you intend to do, you see.
Yeah.
You know, because if you take up the position for turning right early, everyone knows then, okay, we know exactly what you're doing. Whereas if you leave it late, then everyone will get a bit nervous. You know, what are you doing? Or, you know, are you going left? Maybe. So yeah, once you take up your position, good for turning right, it allows other people to see what you intend to do, and it actually makes everyone make a better decision about what they're going to do. You know,
Yep.
you flagged this one, 26. So again, it's a fuel one, isn't it? So
Mhm.
you can avoid wasting fuel by looking after the machine itself. Actually, this is what it's telling you.
Yep.
Yeah. So by having your vehicle serviced regularly, what they're saying to you then is that actually by doing that, you're actually you're actually looking you're looking at the vehicle being running smoothly. It has uh, you know, not wasting fuel because if a vehicle is not running smoothly, it will waste fuel if it's not being looked after properly. And guess what? That's the way to keep. If you keep an engine running smoothly and it's well serviced, it will be very efficient, and that means it won't waste fuel. Um, is that okay?
Yep.
Right then, so let's have a look at this one. By keeping an empty roof rack on your vehicle, well, you're right. It's a good answer, in some respect, because by not putting stuff on your roof rack, you'll definitely not be wasting fuel. But the roof rack itself, in actual fact, wastes fuel. So it is a good enough answer if that there wasn't a better one, if you like. But by having your vehicle serviced regularly is a better answer because, like I said, if it's serviced regularly, it will run better and waste less fuel. Okay.
Yep.
So, what we have here is what you see the blue square
Yep.
and the white arrow. Now we've come across that before in Larne, haven't we? Because there's a one-way system down there,
Yep.
and blue is always telling you that it's like blue. I always use this little poem actually. Blue must do. So blue must do tells you that you must go a certain way. You see, blue must do. You must go this
Yeah.
way. That's how you know it's a one-way system because it's blue must do. And the other one's got two arrows in it, so it's not one way, isn't it? It's telling you that there's traffic coming forward and towards you in both directions. So you've got two-way traffic there really. And the big arrow is the boss, if that makes sense.
Yep.
You know. So that whenever you see the big arrow like that, by the way, that shows you that the big arrow is the boss icon because it's bigger. I always think it's an easy way to remember it. The bigger arrow is the boss. So traffic going that way is the priority, if you like. You see that? The big arrow is the boss. But the one that you're looking for, one-way system, is the blue must do sign with the white arrow. So you can only go one way. One arrow, one way. If that
Yep.
makes sense. Yeah. Okay, powered vehicles used by disabled people. That's the wee motor vehicles you see cutting about with the wee cages on them. So they're used by disabled people and elderly people. They're small and hard, it can be hard to see. And what must be the display if they're traveling on a dual carriageway? Well, they're meant to have one of those flashing amber lights because they're a temporary obstruction. I don't think I've ever seen one, mind you, with a amber on light on them, but they're
Yeah.
meant to. They're meant to have an amber light on them, so probably just forget to put them on sometimes. But yeah, they must come. They must come fitted with one. But yeah, so they're meant to have them if they go onto a motorway or a dual carriageway. So if you look at the picture here, you can see on the left side there's a white dotted line. See there?
Yep.
That's basically telling you that's a driveway to someone's house. You can drive up to go to someone's house. But the white line is just marking the edge. or the curb to let you know that you're getting close to the curb, you know.
Yeah.
So that's what that white line's doing. It's telling you, guess what? You're getting close to the curb, so don't get any closer. 34 then. Let's see what. Well, you know, you can see there that you've stopped to help people, and you've got to make sure that someone has called for the ambulance to come, haven't you?
Yeah.
And I see that when you're saying stop other cars and ask the drivers to help, which is a good answer. But that's a better answer. Yeah, because someone's badly hurt. We're going to need an ambulance. Yeah. But yeah, that's a good answer you had, but it's not the right answer on this occasion because there's a better answer.
Yeah.
Next one. No, okay, you flagged this one. There are no speed limit signs on the road. Well, you know, if you're driving around and you see street lights, it means that there's actually people living there. Usually, it's a built-up area, in other words. That's why they have the street lights there. So street lights are always an indication that you're in a built-up area, and built-up area, the speed limit is 30 miles per hour. So a very simple answer, really. Looking for street lights. Now, it's not always a guarantee, by the way, so you have to keep an eye out, though, because it might be street lights, and there might be another sign, a circular sign with a 40 in it, for example, which is actually going to give you, you know, an updated version. Tells you you might be able to go, but you'd have to keep an eye out for that.
Yeah.
38 then. So this is the one we talked about already. The one that was on the little presentation I did for you. It's a gantry. Yes?
Yeah.
You're on a smart motorway. What does it mean if a red cross is showing above the hard shoulder? And speed limits above all the other lanes. Well, the hard shoulder can be used as a normal running lane, but not when there's got the X in it,
Uh,
because the X means that you're not allowed to go there. Is that all right? Is that okay?
yeah.
So the X means no, doesn't it?
Yep.
So you went for the hard shoulder can be used. Yeah, and it can be used as a normal running lane. You're right, but not when there's an X there. An X saying no, you can't. You know. Okay, what does a this is the entrance to a roundabout, yes? You
Yep.
can see there's a roundabout. There's you coming up to it. So what direction must you look on approach to the roundabout?
Right.
There you go. That's what that marking set tells you. You see? A stop line doesn't look like that, does it?
No.
Stop line look like
The straight line.
red, white line. Exactly. So that's not a stop line. That's a give way line. A dotted line is a give way line. Okay, 42. Well, okay, keeping the car secure means that you have to keep it safe from being broken into or maybe stolen. And taking car maintenance class is a great answer, of course, but that's to do with looking after the car to make sure it's running properly so that you could keep your fuel bills down. But that's nothing to do with the security of it. But there is a thing called a vehicle watch scheme, but I don't think I've seen one in Northern Ireland before, but they do exist. And there's basically when everyone in the one town or the one street agrees that they'll you know, one person will keep an eye on the vehicles one night of the week, for example, and then you know someone else will do it the next night and so on. And that's what that is. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, 43 then. You See, what they're talking about here, how would you benefit? That means how would you gain from following the people who built the car, manufacturers, the service schedule. Now, what does a service schedule do? What is a service? What do you mean by service in a car?
Fixing it or checking it.
Yes, checking it and make sure it's running properly. It's been serviced regularly. It means that the vehicle will be running properly and it will save fuel. It will also mean that, guess what? It's liable not to break down. It's going to be reliable. Reliable means, of course, in this situation, you're going to get up the next morning to go to work and the car is going to start for you. And that's what reliable means. You're going to end up in work at the right time. So the vehicle will remain reliable. Is that okay? Do you understand that one all right?
Yeah.
So that's what the manufacturer is, just the person who made the vehicle, if you like. Okay, let me see, 46. Okay, you can see in the picture, there's a warning sign, a triangle. See the warning sign?
Yep.
And it's got a gate in it. Now, that's basically telling you that you're coming to a place where trains will be. All right. You know, like Troopers Lane there, have you ever seen the
Yeah.
barriers coming down? Well, that's what that is. That's the same as Troopers Lane. And the reason why they put it here is because there's a bend. And they call that type of a crossing for trains a level crossing. That's its proper name.
Yeah.
All right. So the level crossing is the name they give to it. And it's really quite a dangerous place for it to be on close to a corner. So that's why they put this sign before the corner. And it's also, if you notice, there's little countdown markers, the same as what we talked about earlier on the motorway. See them
Yeah.
there? They're like red bars.
Yeah.
So they're same as the ones that you find in the motorway. They're telling you that there's 3 bars there. So that's kind of like, the furthest distance away. And then you'll come along and you'll see 2 bars. And then that means you're getting closer to the problem. And then you'll see 1 bar and it'll tell you you're nearly there. So it's kind of like an early warning system to tell you that you're getting close to what would probably be classed as a hidden level crossing or a concealed level crossing.
Yeah.
Yes, that's it. 47 then, if you look in the picture, you can see our speed bumps. We've bounced off many of them in Larne, haven't we?
Yep.
Yeah, so how should you drive? Now, they don't call them speed bumps, they call them calming measures. Traffic calming, traffic slowing down measures is the way they use it. But they don't calm most drivers down. Most drivers get a bit annoyed when they bounce over. So, but they're called traffic calming measures, and they're designed to. You've got to go over them slower, basically. But we know that anyway, don't we?
Yeah.
We sure do. All right, so here's the videos that you got, and it's saying to you what hazard do you need to look out for as you drive under the bridge. Okay, let's have a look at it. Okay, so there's a warning sign here, Cara. Did you see it?
Yeah.
Aha! Didn't see it the first time, did you?
No.
There you go. You got to watch sneaky that one, because it is telling you that the roads there's something there to do with height.
Yeah.
Yeah, do with height. That's not width, that's height. And that's a wee warning sign telling you you've got a situation with pedestrians, I'm afraid. So I'm afraid I caught you that one. I can see why though, because the video is quite fast.
Yeah.
Just need to slow it down a little bit and, keep an eye out for signs that you might find on the left side of the road. Okay, let's see number 50 then, last but not least. Let's try this video again. What is it looking for? What does the single yellow line along the side of the road? Now, what did I say to you earlier about yellow lines? What do yellow lines normally mean?
It normally means you can't stop on them, isn't it?
To do with It's to do with stopping, doesn't it? It's usually the more paint, which is a good way to remember it. The more paint on the road, the more restrictions on the road. In other words, the dotted yellow line, it's going to have some restrictions. If it's a solid yellow line, like this one, it's going to have a bit more than that. And if it's 2 yellow lines, there's going to be a no stopping usually, except to let off passengers and pick them up. So it doesn't say no stopping at any time because it's only one single yellow line. All right, it doesn't say that. That's only one yellow line, but I get what you mean. It said waiting restrictions. Because it's only one yellow line, there will be times that you are allowed to stop there. Or park there, should I say. Very rarely. It's going to be just, a little sign that will come up there. It'll tell you, you're allowed to wait between certain times, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Okay, so there you go. A good attempt at it. Let's have a look to see where it's put your position at. So just over halfway there, and there's 4 questions you didn't answer, which knocked you back a little bit. But the alertness looked very good. Case studies was the ones at the end. You've done well in your documents, so well done, because we did that the last time, I think, didn't we? So yeah, we did. Yeah. So motorway rules is better. You've only got 1 question wrong there today, so well done. That's a big improvement on your motorway rules. So that the presentation helped you a little bit at the beginning, then, by the looks of things. So it looks like our road and traffic signs are still giving us a bit of trouble, and accidents and emergencies. Let me see. Oh, safety in your vehicle. That's a big one for you. All right. Safety in your vehicle. Now, I'm going to take a little note of that because I think I'll maybe do a wee presentation for you on that one. Would you like that?
Yeah.
Try to improve that one a bit for you. Safety in your vehicle. Yeah, I might do that one on TikTok for you, and then I'll post it up there so you can actually see it if I get time tomorrow, okay? But let me just see, what else? Vulnerable road users. That's another one, because you got 4 wrong on that one as well. So they're 2 ones that we can look at for you. Vulnerable road users. So yeah, let me just have a wee quick look at that again. Yeah, so vulnerable road users, the big one for you, and safety in your vehicle, okay?
Yeah.
They're 2 big areas that we need to sort of get a wee bit better for you. And that will make a big difference on your actual test if you can get those areas a bit better. The road and traffic signs as well are always a bit tricky. Don't get me wrong, they can catch people out quite a lot. But yeah, so is there any questions for me, Carter?
Don't think so, no.
Okay, well, that's been a really good test for you there, and we've obviously learned some new questions that you might get on your next test. So that's good news that we've learned something new. It's always a good experience when you learn something new from a session like this. And I'll see you tomorrow then.
Yep, I'll see you tomorrow.
What's that?
I said, yep, I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll go and do some driving and see how we get on with that. All right, my friend.
Yep. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
All the best for now. Bye bye.